Hey everyone, welcome to another episode or another episode of the Travis Smart podcast for this July 15th, 2026. Yeah, it's been a couple of weeks, guys. I hope you guys didn't miss me too much, right? Hopefully you guys had your content fill by other content creators, whether it be podcasts, videos, stories, whatnot, but I'm sure that you guys have not gotten any unique perspective like I offer sometimes. So, kind of want to get started right away. Got a lot to cover. Don't know if it'll be in long form, but I just kind of want to just try to cover this from the perspective of now we're post All Star break. All Star game took place already yesterday. Teams have got a few days off this week. Looks like they'll be coming back on Friday, specifically Cubs and Sox. They'll be coming back on Friday. So a lot to cover there. But before I get there, I kind of want to just address some other uh some other listeners that I put some content out a few months ago, probably like 4 months ago or so about like wrestling, professional wrestling in general. Not sure if I'm gonna be covering that content anymore. Uh for no other reason, not that I've stopped watching, but it's just I really don't have really the really the time to kind of divulge too much deep into it because it's just going to kind of seem like it's repetitive. At least with baseball or even with the football season coming up, it doesn't get repetitive, even though we may have the same results and same things going on. With wrestling, it's been a space I wanted to cover. Reason why I called the thing smart because it was a wrestling term, but it's fine. I can still use the word when talking about baseball, right? I think I'm an expert, but maybe I don't know as much as I think I do. But yeah, it's a space that it's like I don't know if I can cover that anymore. There is a lot of content creators that do cover it and do a really good job of it, but right now it's not something I'm having a passion for anymore. I do catch the shows weekly, maybe not live, but maybe like a day or so after, kind of fast forward through it. So for the people that do listen to this and like that other side of the content, when I've covered that on a separate podcast, I don't know if I really will be doing that unless something really major that I need to address comes up. But for the most part, I feel like content creators really have that covered versus this, even though there's lots of podcasts out there for baseball. There's just a plethora of just content out there. I just don't feel like they cover it um really uh too in depth like I sometimes go. Like there's things that I pick up that maybe don't get covered so much and so in depth like I try to go into because I try to look at it from the perspective of me who don't have any resources like they do, specifically with these content creators, whether it be Baseball Today, Trevor Plouffe and Chris Rose that do that, the Baseball Tonight, which is by ESPN, even locally on the radio, right? Like they cover these stories as best as they can. They have some resources. They even have some of the players on throughout the week, whether it be Ian Happ at the score or Nico Horner comes on the score. I know Craig Counsell sometimes comes on. I know that Cap, I know he does his recap and he does all that and he has his resources. He can reach out to these guys. I don't. I have those resources, so I kind of try to cover it more from a fan perspective versus more insider sort of perspective. But on that topic, we're post All Star break. So now we can really start digging into the standings, right? And 3 weeks from now, or 3 weeks from just this past Monday that just passed, is actually the trade deadline. Now, before the All Star break, some things actually changed, specifically the standings, right? Like there's a lot of movement, not only just American League, but National League in some of these standings. And I'm not saying, oh my goodness, drastically, where there's teams that are getting closer, excuse me, getting closer. And then in some instances they are, right? For example, like right now, I'm gonna try to go, you know, league division by division. So I'm starting with the American League. American League East right now at the break. The Rays are leading that American League East division by 3 games on the Yankees. They're 56 and 38. Yankees are 54 and 42. They're 3 games out. It's not a lot. It's not a lot of room. And again, we're just talking about post All Star break. And with that looming trade deadline. Do the Rays do anything to maybe create some distance between them and the Yankees? Is there something that's missing that the Rays have, whether it be starting pitching, which I know a lot of the times during the trade deadline, starting pitching, relief pitching, really is a main focus just because, especially when you get into the playoffs in those short series, you need that pitching, but also you need hitting. So, what can they address to maybe create a bigger gap than three? Because three is pretty close. Same thing with the Yankees. Right now, they're without Aaron Judge. So, when they get Aaron Judge back, is that enough to supplement them or do they need more? Because right now, from what I'm seeing, Garrett Cole's struggling a lot, right? There's a little regression from Cam, Schittler, uh, a little bit. Schlittler, a little bit. Um, but again, who knows? I mean, again, he's a young pitcher. But what are they going to do, right? And the Red Sox, you're like, what do you talk about the Red Sox? The Red Sox are buried in that division at 10 games back, right? If you're looking at the standings or if you're aware of where the standings are at. Yeah, but they're also in the wild card race, which is insane after they rattled off a 9-game winning streak in the last 10 games. They won three straight series. So who knows? Do they think we got enough and we need to supplement it? That makes a huge difference, right? A huge, huge difference. That wild card's going to make such a huge difference in what these teams do, even if they're not leading the division. To say, hey, the division's too far, but man, we can still punch a ticket to the postseason by just getting into that one of those three wild card slots and hope that we can win a short series. Stranger things have happened. Arizona rode that wave in 2023, so it doesn't mean that they can't do it, right? Who knows, right? Change in voice. I mean, the Blue Jays, what are they going to do? I mean, they had more aspirations because they were the defending American League champions. They made it to the World Series last year, Game 7. But there they are. They're sitting 12 games out of a division spot. And let me see if I can actually get into the wild card here while we're talking here. Again, that's huge, right? Like w- at this point post All-Star break, I'm thinking, I'm truly really, truly thinking, and some of these GMs have to really start thinking, what are we gonna do, right? What's our move, right? How are we gonna approach this? How are we gonna approach this? Do we look at this and say, hey, let's see what we can do with what we got? I think we have enough. We got some guys coming back off the injured list. How do we best navigate this, next couple of months? Because again, once that trade deadline happens, that's it. Other than if you're expecting somebody to come back, you got somebody that can maybe come back later in the season, late August, early September, which is a Cubs thing, which I want to cover the Cubs a little bit more in depth on that. Got some guys that they got coming back, but right now the wild card as it sits, it's the Yankees, the Guardians, the Mariners, right? Those three teams we're talking about that are bunched in this, right? The Yankees are at 6.5 with that top wild card spot. Cleveland's 3 games back of them in that second, and then they got obviously they're 3 games ahead of Seattle. But here's Minnesota right on their heels. They're 48 and 49, just like Seattle. There's just percentage points that Seattle, has on Minnesota where they have a spot and they don't. Boston, like I said, like I mentioned earlier, they're a half game out. Houston, who I can't even remember the last time they missed a postseason or a game and a half out. Baltimore's 2 games out. Blue Jays are 2.5 out. The Tigers are 3.5 out. Do they trade Scooble? Right? Are these GMs hoping that a Scooble becomes available? Right? What about if he doesn't? Do they have a backup plan? Right? Again, a lot of these teams like the Athletics, I don't really see them. They're at 6.5. Then you got Kansas City at 10. Los Angeles is at 10. Right? The Angels, I should say. But those teams that are like bunched in there, which I'm talking about, one, two, three, four, five. Hang on, sorry, threw myself out of here. Forgot I'm working with the touchscreen today. So I got, let's see, you got out of those spots is one, two, three, four, five, six. You have 6 teams, right? 6 teams out right now with another three ahead of them. So you're talking about 9 teams for 3 spots. So do any of these teams do anything, right? Do they get rid of any assets and say, yeah, even though we're close on that wild card, are we just too bunched up? Is it do we just not have enough to make a deep run? Do we really want to give away assets to make a short postseason run? Again, those are the decisions that they should be talking about. I don't know. Honestly, they should have been talking about them as of Sunday evening. But again, I don't know how these front offices work. But that's a really that's a really big field for 3 spots. You know, who's really going to give up anything? So that's what I'm saying. A lot of these teams that look like they were out and maybe had some guys that they can give away, like Boston. I would say give away, trade away. I would say Boston. I mean, people were hoping that Boston would just fade away. They would have access to Sonny Gray, which right now I don't see them getting rid of Sonny Gray. I don't see a package that any team can put together where they're going to take away Sonny Gray from Boston, unless Boston thinks it's a wash and they're going to try to get the max value for Sonny Gray now, who's doing really, really well, right? Or Aroldis Chapman, right? Those are two guys that the Cubs, and by the way, even though nobody's talking about it, the White Sox could make a move for these guys if Boston really fell out. But what does Boston think? What does their management think that they can do? Hey, we rattled off nine. What do you think? You think we can maybe not make a run at the division, but let's make a run to see if we can punch a ticket by going and poaching somebody else's talent that may be further out. And there's a lot of these teams that are out, like, I don't know about Oakland so much, but Kansas City or even the Angels, do they have something that's worthwhile that can push you over that threshold, right? What are they going to do, right? And those wild card spots are so so important because again, one of those wild card spots that I kind of want to point out shifting to the White Sox is that second spot that the Guardians have. Guardians are 51-46. They're plus 3 games on Seattle. Well, there's a team in that same division that is that top of the division. Their name is the Chicago White Sox. They're 50-45. So it doesn't mean that Cleveland's just also going to give up aspirations of taking that division title from Chicago right now. The White Sox are playing just amazing right now. I'm going to give them all the credit in the world. They're doing amazing. They got some hungry young guys. They got a good manager, despite what they're saying on the radio that he makes bad moves. The man can only throw somebody out there so many days in a row because he's got to give these relief pitchers rest. Stop pretending like this man has got somebody in the back of the bullpen that he is not using. Will Venable is doing the best job that he can with the guys that he's got, right? He can only pitch who he has. This is not MLB the Show where you can just go find somebody or develop somebody or create a player where you're going to throw out there. It's going to win you a division or it's going to, separate you from the pack. Fact of the matter is, until the White Sox front office decides that they want to invest in this team beyond this year, is the question. Do they want to invest beyond this year? Or are they going to look at this year and be like, hey, let's do what we can, what we got. We're not trading away any pieces to get anything to try to make a deep run because I don't think we're strong enough. But maybe, and again, I don't know what the front office is thinking with the White Sox. Will Chris Getz look at this and be like, can I make a move for a pitcher now that's under a controllable pitcher that I can have for more than 1 year? He's not a rental. Those are the things that they have to start considering because right now the American League doesn't exactly look like a powerhouse either, to be honest with you. And this is no disrespect to the guys that are leading the division, these teams that are winning, these ball clubs that are winning leading the division. Like the Texas Rangers are 49-47. They're literally 2 games over 500. It's not like somebody's running away with these divisions or have these ridiculous records, other than the Dodgers. And I'm just again strictly talking about the American League. I'll get to the National League in a moment. Nobody's running away with the division. Exactly. Nobody has these records that are going to be like unsurmountable. Like who knows? Like in a short series, what happens if you can get the proper, you know, if you get the, I want to say proper. Let me take that back. Reiterating, they can get the right piece. Maybe the White Sox are just a relief pitcher away, or they need some lockdown closer because Sir Anthony Dominguez is not it. I mean, he's good. Maybe they can get something for him. Maybe there is some value there, and they can get something right. Because Mason Miller, I don't see the Padres trading a Mason Miller. I know that's a name that's been out there for multiple teams, not just the White Sox, multiple teams. Do the Padres just put him out there and see, like, let me see what we can get for this man? Maybe there's a possibility that somebody's going to blow us away. That maybe this year's a wash for us, but man, if we can get a package for Mason Miller to make us better next year or the year after and the year after that, who knows? Because Mason Miller is a sought after closer. Will the Padres make a move? I don't know. But these are the things. Like I keep hearing these guys on the radio. Oh, they need to go for Sonny Gray and Aroldis Chapman. That's if Boston wants to let him go. Because if Boston doesn't make him available, then you better have a backup plan. You better have a backup plan, and Mason Miller's not there. Or are the Tigers really going to trade Scooble? You knowing that Scooble is coming off an injury, he's still Tarek Scooble. But also, too, this guy's only a rental. What do you mortgage? Because they're not going to give you Terry Scuba for a bag of baseballs. That's what these guys like David Kaplan and David Hall, which is funny enough, two Davids, right? I'm a David. Mully, all those guys that are on those shows on the score and ESPN 1000 respectively don't get. This is not a video game. You just don't trade these guys a bag of baseball and force a trade, right? You can't. They're going to want to get the maximum amount. or guess what? They'll try to be like, hey, we'll try to resign him. Because if you're going to trade for a Terry Scooble and give away a lot of good future prospects, because again, you don't know what you're going to be trading away, right? As a future prospect for a rental, do you do that now and hope to get to a World Series? If you don't get to a World Series, then you've traded for a Terry Scooble and then that's it. Terry Scuba moves on. Whoever it may be that wants to sign him, right? Whoever's going to give him the most money. Terry Scuba's gonna bank on himself, right? He's not going to give a hometown discount to a team just because it felt good to make the playoffs and make a deep run. If they don't win a World Series, then to be honest with you, don't trade for a Terry Scuba. And I know that's probably really controversial to say, but sorry, like I'm not going to trade half my farm away for a Terry Scuba for fingers crossed we can make it because you're going to need more than Terry Scuba, and that's for both teams on this side of town, the Cubs and the White Sox. No disrespect, no shade to any of them, but you're going to need more than Terry Skubal. At least for the White Sox, they're going to need at least one more starter and at least another reliever to at least another one. I'll get to the National League because I don't want to flip over to the Cubs just yet. But again, this is what people don't understand when they talk about these things. Nobody said that these teams even have made these players available. We won't know. We're going to hear rumors for the next 3 weeks. We might see some movement. We might even see some just under the radar moves, right? Like this morning, there was one with the Brewers, and again, I don't want to flip to the National League just yet, but just to give you an example, the Brewers traded for Lance McCullers Jr., which, if you guys are baseball guys like me and recognize that name, he has pitched for the Houston Astros on quite a few of their World Series teams. He had been hurt recently. He's just coming back, but I don't think he has a place in the rotation, unfortunately, from what I was reading in the story. And his ERA wasn't that good before he got hurt. But again, if he can get right, if there's a pitching coach out there that sees something that can get him right, that's a big piece for the Milwaukee Brewers, especially after losing Brandon Woodruff. But again, on the American League side, the White Sox have a really, really, really good chance of making a significant run in a short series. I mean, I'm sorry. As it stands now, I'm even gonna go ahead and I'm gonna play, fortune teller for a minute, right? I don't want to use the word devil's advocate. Again, it's not a derogatory term, but I just want to use it. But if I could want to say just future fortune telling, right? Say the season ended today, right? Let's just play that game, right? Uh Tampa Bay has the best record in the American League, so they'd get a bye. So with the White Sox, to be honest with you, they would get a bye. So right now it would be the Tampa Bay Rays, Sox that would get a bye. They'd be waiting on a wild card that would literally consist of the Yankees playing the Rangers, with the Yankees actually hosting the Rangers because the Rangers are 49-47, but they're the third best team, at least in the American League as it stacks up now, right? There's six teams. They would be the three seed against the six seed. Wasn't and if I believe that's correct. Yes, I'm sorry. So it's not the Yankees. I apologize. It'd be the Mariners. So it'd be the Rangers and the Mariners. The Rangers would be hosting that series in a short series against the Mariners. As bad as Kyle Raleigh has been playing, if he keeps it up, right? Are these guys going to step up? It's a short series, which is these wild cards are best of three. So you win two, you're through. You don't come out right first two games, you're done, right? So then you're looking at a potential New York Cleveland series, right? Again, season ended today. The winner of that, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, takes on, I think so it'll have to be the lower seed if I'm doing this correctly. So if I have the matchups wrong, please forgive me. I'm just going to throw this out there just to kind of make my point and move on. Let's say the Yankees were to win, right? Were to beat Cleveland in that short series. So you're looking at, we'll say Texas, right? Texas beats Seattle. They're basically going to pay Tampa Bay, and the Sox would play the winner between the Yankees and the Guardians. Let's say it is the Yankees. Do they have enough to beat the Yankees with an Aaron Judge coming back? We're gonna fast forward and say this is October. Who knows, right? These are the things these are the scenarios that should be playing out right now with these front offices. Do the Sox really want to invest in the future, or do they want to make a short playoff run this year? How do they want to look at it? How do they want to go about this? And that's so pivotal and so important when they're making these decisions. If I'm in one of those front offices, we say, what do we do? What are we missing? What do you think is going to take us over that hump? Because you don't know. I mean, the playoffs are just crazy. You can bet on a team, and a team can literally. have a really bad week and it can be over for them so quick, so quick. So it's really specifically talking locally. The White Sox have a lot of decisions to make. What do they give away, and how do they get their team right for this year and for the next year? And people are saying, well, there's a strike, so they're going to probably lose some baseball. I don't know about that. I don't even want to talk about that. There's a potential for that. We don't know. When we get there, we'll cross that bridge. But right now, they can't think like that. They have to think about, let's forget about the work stoppage. What do we do? How do we handle this? This is also not only just for them, but also for the fans. They're going to let the fans know what they truly think of them by what they're going to do in the next 3 weeks. And I'm not saying mortgage the future just to give the fans a little, just spice, little playoff run and do nothing with it. Maybe make it to like a division series if they get past, whatever. I guess they would get the bye, I guess, in this argument. For a short little division series run, they do all right, but they don't make it over the hump, then they have to mortgage the future for that. What do you give away? And these are the things that I am not paid to do. It's way above my pay grade, but that's what these guys get paid for. But make that investment, right? Make that investment. Murakami says he wants to be here. Are we talking about that? He says he wants to be here. Maybe we should start talking about that as well. What does that look like, right? What does that look like? Do we have anything in the system that we can see? Hey, we just bring this guy up next year. We'll have the pitching, we'll have things ready, and then next year we're ready to make a run, or we're ready to really challenge some teams. Those are the decisions that are going to be made, and I really, really look forward to those decisions. I really do hope that the White Sox do shore up that team a little bit. Hitting wise, I mean, who knows? I mean, if there's somebody out there that you think that can push it over the hump hitting wise, I'd say go for it. If you can get some deal for him, but right now my biggest concern for the White Sox is their pitching. How much is Davis Martin going to hold up? You know, their starting pitching is not exactly elite, right? Not to say the Cubs is any better, right? I'm probably gonna have the same critique for the Cubs, but the Sox have a really interesting thing in what to do, a decision to make right now, and that's gonna say a lot about what the team thinks about this team this year. Because if they think this is just they're playing with house money and they're just a year ahead of schedule and they don't do anything, then they're sending the message of to say, "Hey, be happy with what we're giving you. Either you like it or you don't." I really hope that they don't go there because you know who I'm really happy for is those fans that had to suffer 3 seasons of 100 loss baseball and just having just an absolute abomination of a team that just did not look like a team, making all kind of crazy errors, didn't look good, it looked terrible. So that's what I'm happy for. I'm not happy for these little bandwagon fans who all of a sudden now they're creeping up and they're digging their socks hats out of their closet. They haven't worn one for a while because they were wearing paper bags over their faces. No, I know a couple of people personally who are very happy for this team, and I'm very happy for them because they're getting to see an actual good team. Not that not that there's anything wrong with getting players off the free agent market and building your team that way, but to see that these young guys are coming up, guys that they've traded other veterans for to get, to see these young guys playing together, and you don't have that negativity in the locker room anymore. Now you have all these young guys that are hungry and they keep winning and they like winning and they figured out how to win. That's good. That's a good thing to see. That's wonderful when you see a young team put it together. They got some vets in there. I know Grichuk is a vet as well. So I don't want to lump him in with the young guys, but man, Vargas, Murakami, we talked about, Maydroff. Oh my goodness, and I know I'm forgetting something. I know I'm forgetting someone. And I'm forgetting, please forgive me if I'm forgetting someone. Oh, Montgomery, Carlson Montgomery. Like, that's a lot. That's a lot of good young talent. I know that they have so much young talent. What message are you going to send the fans? But what message are you going to send those guys at the clubhouse? All this hard work you've been doing for the last couple of months. What do we think about it? How do we want to back you guys up? That's a big decision, and we're going to see what that decision leads to in the next couple of weeks. As far as the National League, so let's go to the National League. Let me go ahead and see if I can change over my view here to the National League. Here we are. I mean, the National League right now, I mean, the Dodgers look like wow. And again, this is no disrespect. Right now, as of the All-Star break, the Dodgers are the number one seed. There are 61 and 36. The Milwaukee Brewers not too far behind them. They're 59 and 37. It's literally a game and a half, we'll say, about if I'm doing my math right. Again, I was educated by the Chicago public school system. So I'm doing my math wrong. Please forgive me. And then the Atlanta Braves, who look like they were going to be competing with the Dodgers, they're going through a little bit of a slump right now. They're let's see, they are 5-5. So I mean, actually, all these teams are 5-5 in their last 10. So they've been going through some slumps, but again, with the Dodgers, it just they have that sometimes where they just kind of it's an ebb and flow, but they're kind of always really in that mix. But they're 55-40, the Atlanta Braves. You know, again, same thing with Atlanta. Like the same thing that I applied to the White Sox. What is Atlanta going to do? Atlanta looked like they were going to be competing with the Dodgers. They looked like they had a really good chance to compete with the Dodgers. But Milwaukee, I mean, just that young talent again. Same thing. Let's copy and paste what we said about the White Sox. What is Milwaukee going to do? Milwaukee is considered a small market team. What are they going to do? That manager that they have, Pat Murphy's phenomenal manager, top five manager. I'm not even going to deny that. I mean, facts are facts. I mean, they have a stud in Jacob Mizorowski, but they're also watching his innings, and they're probably going to rest him some a little bit, and that's great. Again, I hope that the kid, you know, you know, keeps having a phenomenal season when he plays us. Obviously, in those 7 games we have to play them. Hopefully, we don't run into them. Maybe they skip them, whatever, or we do okay. We survive them somehow. We can get to their bullpen, right? But again, that's another question that they have, right? With Woodruff gone, specifically about the Brewers, how do they fill that need, right? Because Woodruff, you can't just that's not something you just replace. Um, is he going to be out for the rest of the year? What is that going to look like? Again, right now, there's not really, at least from what I last checked, there's not a lot of news about him other than he's out. What are they going to do, right? Like, let's put aside the Cubs are 5 games behind them in the standings for the division. Put that aside. Let's just put that. I'm talking about outside National League, just in general, because they lost. They lost. They went ahead and they. Oh gosh, I don't know what that's. What somebody's. I guess something's talking again. Apparently, okay. Oh boy. Anyways, sorry. Technology, gotta love it. Um, Last year they got swept by the Dodgers. I mean, and again, I'm not. I'm not. Again, this sounds like I'm disparaging them. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, is Milwaukee going to be content with always making a run at the division and then winning the division by 10 games like they did last year over the Cubs? Is that good enough to then I don't know. Will we face each other again? Whoever they face, right? I don't know, right? To try to get over that hump to win the division series and then get to the NLCS, the pennant, to win the pennant. Do they have enough to beat the Dodgers, right? And again, right? Like what team? Even pick a team, right? Pick any team in the National League. Do they have enough to compete with the Dodgers in a longer series? Because if it's we're talking about the pennant, the NLCS, it'd be a 7 game series. Do they have it, right? Or are they content with just always every year competing and looking okay, looking like they're gonna really make a run this year, and then nothing, right? And you're like, well, dude, you're saying that because you're a Cubs fan. No, I mean, again, copy and paste for the Cubs. What are the Cubs going to do, right? But again, I want to get to them in a moment. But what is Milwaukee going to do? Is Milwaukee really going to look at this and be like, we're just content always winning the division, and I guess we're gonna just roll the dice and see what happens in the division series. If we get there again, right now, if the season were to end, they would get a bye. They would technically get a bye, and they'd be waiting on the winners of those wild card matchups of the Cubs, the Phillies, and the Marlins. Which the Marlins again another surprise team. Do the Marlins do anything? Are they just we're good? We're just gonna just continue being the Marlins. We're gonna continue competing with this young talent that we have and see what we can do. I mean, St. Louis is right there at a game back behind the Marlins for that third spot. Pittsburgh, the Pirates are there, 2 games behind that third spot. Then you got the Diamondbacks at 2.5. San Diego still, like I said, they're still breathing 3.5 out of that third spot. Washington, which has been a surprise. But again, those young kids were going to start hitting at some point. Then you start getting into Cincinnati at 8 games. San Francisco's at 10.5, which again, I want to talk about San Francisco, and I'm so glad that this came up. Does San Francisco move a Rafael Devers? Again, rumors have been out there. I'm not saying to any particular team. They just open them up and see who's got anything to offer for a Rafael Devers, a Matt Chapman. But the one guy that they've been talking about a lot, a lot, a lot is Logan Webb. I don't know. I don't know if, and again, I know you're going to say, David, you're crazy. Where are they going to put this guy? Who's to say the Dodgers don't make a run at Logan Webb? Who knows, right? They're all about pitching depth. Why doesn't Milwaukee make a move at them, David? Why are you talking crazy that you're a Cubs fan? No, I'm talking real facts here. I'm talking as a baseball fan. Yes, my favorite team is everybody knows is the Cubs. Sure, Cubs, Phillies can make a run at him. Why not? The thing is, does he have a no trade clause? I don't see anything. I try to look it up again. Somebody tell me in the comments or shoot me a message if you guys have my information. I don't think he's got a no trade clause, but I don't know. Again, going from San Francisco to Philadelphia, right? Where you're thinking of not the summer, you're thinking of future fall. Like, what can he look like? Gets cold in Philly, so it gets cold in Chicago. Does he prefer the warmer temperature? I mean, I'm being serious, right? They don't play in domes. Los Angeles is always warmish, right? Like in October, we're looking at what 70 degrees or something like that. Just like I was saying, would be in San Francisco. Milwaukee plays in a domed park. They open up the roof when it's appropriate, but will they do that in October? I don't see that happening. Will Atlanta make a run at him? Does he see a better potential? From moving from San Francisco. But again, these are the things. These are all the names that are out there. But are these teams ready for business? Are they going to sell? Or are they going to stand pat? So, are these teams going to have to pick from a B pile instead of an A pile? And again, no disparaging words about these guys that are out there, right? But if you're going to put these guys in an A pile or a B pile, Tarek Skubal, Logan Webb, go in that A pile for me. That's just for me, specifically Skubal, right? Chapman and Mason Miller, those are lockdown closers, right? they've got some arms. There's other guys also in that San Diego bullpen that will look really good at the back end of somebody else's bullpen where they don't have to be the man, right? They can just come in there and just they can throw some heat, right? Suarez, Morahone, right? Um, Estrada, right? Who was a former Cub that we traded away because he just was having all kind of trouble and he found it in San Diego. These are the things I'm talking about. These next 3 weeks are so pivotal because that's going to tell us what these teams think about the rosters they have now. Do they stand pat and make just a small move, or these teams that they're hoping that open up and say, "Hey, these we're open for business. These are the guys that we're going to put out there." Are you going to have to go with somebody who's would be somebody's number 4 or 5 starter and hope that they can fill a spot as a three because you got two other ones in front of you, two other horses in front of you that are good. Again, these are the decisions that are going to be made by the front office. But specifically, if I can just focus on the Cubs, it's going to tell us a lot of what that front office thinks about us. And Bruce Levine, as you guys have seen, had a tweet that maybe was not meant for public consumption, was maybe meant for somebody privately. But I agree with every sentiment. You got to give credit where credit is due. There are other teams that are in that same category as the Cubs where they've had some injuries that have decimated them. And I'd say, while it's me, the Cubs, they have to continue playing. Nobody's going to lay down for you. They have to continue playing with what they got. Bregman's not been performing to expectations. Dansby sort of looks like he's waking up. Nico looks like he might be there. Hap, same thing. Bush, same thing, right? But on the pitching side, right? They're decimated. It's just basically been putting together things with bubble gum, right? Not even duct tape, just bubble gumming everything together, and somehow they're 54-42, 12 games over 500, top spot in the wild card. And again, that can change. But what are the Cubs going to do to get over that hump, right? They're hoping Steele will come back end of August, but not enough for a full load. So he's going to come out of the bullpen. Same thing with Ben Brown. But how many innings do we get out of the bullpen, right? With a Ben Brown and a Justin Steele. But even if it's an inning or two here and there, and again, I don't know, right? We'll know more when those guys are able to start throwing, some more, sessions and start getting on a rehab assignment. What does that look like? Do they know something we don't know where they're going to be like, that's enough where we don't need another reliever? We're going to use those guys as relievers and we're just going to focus on starting pitching? Or do we need another hitter to supplement this or that? Again, there's a lot of talk of, well, Matt Shaw might be an interesting candidate to trade away to another team. How do I say this? I'm glad that I don't have to make those decisions because if it was up to me, Matt Shaw's not moving. I'm not moving Matt Shaw. Well, who the heck do you move? Can't move Alcantara because Alcantara looks like he's just not a triple A player, but a 4A player, right? Which basically means they look really good in triple A, but when you get them to the majors, they don't look very good. Is it because They let him sit on the bench and he got cold. Is a Pedro Ramirez a potential candidate for you to move? I don't know. But a lot of what these people that are asking for Matt Shaw to be moved are people that have a problem with him, not his baseball so much, not saying it's, oh my God, this is the greatest, player that's come since, whoever, right? Name a dark horse that you didn't think was going to be good and all of a sudden turned out to be a Hall of Famer, for goodness sakes. I'm not saying that. I don't know. He's too young. This is just his second season. I can't tell you. But it's because of his personal views, right? Because of his personal views, his political beliefs, things of that nature, that there's some people in this town that would like to see him moved. And if you're going to be grading a player on their personal life or how they feel about a certain political party or a certain belief system that they have, then we're judging players the wrong way. Because I hate to tell you guys, if you go into any major league locker room, just because these people don't express their beliefs, whether it be political, ideologies of religion, you might be disappointed. You might find your favorite player doesn't exactly align with the way what you guys think, right? And I don't want to make this a political discussion or even a theological discussion, for that matter, a religious discussion. But let's be real. If you're going to judge a person off of their beliefs that way, then we're no longer talking about baseball. We're not talking, don't talk about what's on the back of the baseball card. If a player is good enough to play for your team and is a one of your top players, and you're going to give them to another team who could care less what this person's political or even religious ideologies are, and they're going to use them and they're going to not care, right? And I don't mean this in a bad way to use them, but like say, hey, we don't care. Come on over here. We don't care what you believe. Let's let's get you to play. And Matt Shaw turns out to be a stud. I don't want to hear that person say, "So we made a mistake. So I was wrong. That was a bad one." Because that's happened before, and this in just in a separate context, not even having to do with political or religious beliefs. We moved Owen Casey to get uh, Edward Cabrera, and everybody was touting that move. Ooh, we're losing Owen Casey. Man, great kid. We didn't get to see him play a lot last year, but he looked like he had some potential there. Ooh, that's a bad move. We shouldn't have done that. After you were touting Edward Cabrera, right? Oh, Edward Cabrera. Oh my goodness, with the Cubs, he's going to be a stud and his velocity. All of a sudden, Edward Cabrera is not doing too well. Ooh, can we take that back? I'd like a do over, please. Can't do it. Say, hey, I was wrong, right? Because I've talked about this on other podcasts. I was wrong. Man, I misjudged this player. Man, my bad. I mean, we could really use him right now. No, it's, man, what are the Cubs doing? No, no, no. You said you wanted this, right? And I'm not talking about the front office. These talking heads on the radio. Oh, we wanted this. We really, really wanted this guy. Now all of a sudden, nah, not so much. Everybody was touting the Bregman move. I mean, I mean, the internet is forever. I can go find tweets from some of these guys locally who were touting the Bregman move along with celebrating the Bears' victory because it happened during that comeback during the Packers versus the Packers. Oh my goodness, Bregman. Now what's going to happen to Shaw? They have to move Shaw. No, they're going to move Nico. No, they should move Nico and keep Shaw at second. No, 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 no. How about you make sure that you have the depth? Because if somebody gets hurt, then you're gonna wonder where's Matt Shaw. Right, man, we could really use Matt Shaw right now. Or in the case of whatever, you can platoon him. They got him playing right field. You can platoon him right now. I know he's hurt, and maybe they don't want to platoon him. But again, that's how the Dodgers continue to just have successes because they keep just having guys who buy into saying, "Hey, you're not necessarily a starter with us right now, but you never know. We're going to get you as much playing time as we can. If somebody gets hurt, you're first in line. Sometimes you just, for the greater good, you buy into it. I.e., Kyle Tucker, right? No shade on Tucker. I love Tucker. I told you I loved Kyle Tucker. He just wasn't the rah rah guy that everybody wanted him to be, and that made him the villain. All of a sudden, he wanted a second opinion on his injury. That makes him the villain because left your team in the middle of a playoff run. You don't even know if this team is even committed to you. At the end of the day, this is a business. You do what you got to do. You felt like you were going to get a bag, you were going to get paid. Why not go make sure that you're okay and you could still get paid because you don't know if the Cubs are going to pay you. So this man took $60 million a year for 4 years from the Dodgers. What I think an opt out maybe after the second year. I might have that correct. If I'm wrong, please correct me. Um, to try to win a championship because he saw the best possibility was to go with the Dodgers and know that maybe he won't be exactly the guy they're looking for, but he is a body. He's a very good body that if he gets hot, he can sustain you for a bit. I mean, those are the things that I don't understand. That it's not like it's a secret, like they're going behind closed doors. It's a hush hush. No, there's other teams that have these guys for depth, right? They're not exactly your quote unquote stereotypical starter. Is not going to give you what you think you're going to get. The potential of the contract may not live up to it, but there are moments where they do pay off dividends, right? I mean, there's Teoscar Hernandez, right? Which again, another Dodger than which I'm talking about, which doesn't always look great, but he does his job, and sometimes will come up big for you in some moments. There's a lot that these GMs are not or front officers are not getting that maybe these guys in the radio maybe just don't get either. Is sometimes you just need a guy for depth, right? Try to get him an at bat or two every week. Try to get him something, do something with him because if you move him, now your trash or what you think is not valuable becomes someone else's treasure, i.e., Owen Casey. Look, I'm not saying that he is carrying the Marlins. He's been a very big contributor for them. He's been doing very well for them, and they're going to continue to develop him. Or he may be a piece that they move on because that's what the Marlins do. They literally, you know, move pieces here and there. That's what the Marlins have always done. They've moved pieces. They've won two World Series, getting little, role guys here and there and looking good, and then just trading it all away because they're just going to start all over again, start from scratch. We got a World Series. We can't pay these guys. Move on, and they just always figure out how to put those pieces together, like almost like a jigsaw puzzle. That's what I'm not understanding is that when these owners will tell you, well, I have to pay this guy X amount of dollars. That's why our tickets are that much. Okay. But when we go ahead and demand, okay, sure, we're okay with the ticket prices going up. All right, now that the ticket prices are going up, where's the free agents? Why can't we pay for guys like that? Right? And that's for both sides of town. Stop telling me that the White Sox and this and that, they've never paid anybody this amount of money. All right, then let's break that. Let's break the norm. Let's break the norm. Let's say that the White Sox are gonna go ahead and pay for Otani. Maybe they just didn't have Otani money, but why didn't they just make a run at him? Right? Same thing happened with Bryce Harper. He wanted to come to the Sox. Not saying the Cubs didn't make any moves or phone calls to him. Of course they did, but he really wanted to come to the White Sox. He was really convinced he was coming to the White Sox. White Sox said, "I'm not paying Bryce Harper that money." Again, now is the time. Now is the time because you don't know what's going to happen. I'm not saying that I don't have any confidence in the Dodgers repeating again, but if the Dodgers go ahead and beat you to another free agent, you can't be like, oh well, we don't got Dodgers money. Well, you do. You just don't want to spend it, right? Milwaukee may be able to say that. Atlanta, maybe. I don't see a big market like a Chicago or Philadelphia saying we ain't got that kind of money, specifically Chicago. And I'm picking on the Cubs. The Cubs have to make a decision. What type of team do they want to be? Do they want to make a run? Or do they just want to say, hey, well, you see, we made the playoffs 2 years in a row. Look what we did over here. And then next year, for sure, 2027, as long as everything, gets fine and we don't lose any games, now we got a team because now we've cleared all these guys off our books. Well, who are you going to put in those places? That's another conversation I'd love to have with these guys. They think that we can just all of a sudden clear Boyd, because that's who I'm talking about free agents. We can clear Boyd, Hap, Suzuki, believe Carson Kelly. That's three, four players. And I know I'm probably missing some guys here that are going to become free agents after this year. Think Tyone, I believe, as well. And I'm not saying that, oh my gosh, we're letting aces, specific with the pitchers. Oh, and Shota, that we're letting aces walk out. Okay, sure. But who's to say Imanaga doesn't walk on and say, I don't need to be an ace. I don't even need to be the number two guy. Make me number five if you need to. I'll be in a rotation, or I'll be the sixth guy, right? We're gonna have a six-man rotation, and he won't go, hey Shota, or I'm sorry, hey Shohei, do me a favor, talk to your management, see if they'll want me. Don't take him. Same thing with Matt Boyd. Who's to say he won't walk over to the Dodgers, walk over to Milwaukee, right? I mean, I'm not saying that you need to sign all these guys, but if you got to have people in place to take their spot, Ian Happ, okay, all right, you want to let him walk? Who's going to replace Ian Happ? Do you have somebody ready right now that you can replace with Ian Happ? Or do you know somebody that's going to be a free agent that's going to replace an Ian Happ, right? Right? Or it's going to replace Isaiah Suzuki. And again, I'm not telling you that these guys are. Oh my goodness, these are superstars, but they do pretty well for your team. He starts out slow all the time, Ian Happ, but he somehow always figures it out. Yes, he frustrates me with runners in scoring position, but a lot of the players do, right? Just in general. I'm just saying we need to start playing or crying poor. If we're not going to make a commitment to the team for now and for the future and start talking about 2032, like Carter Hawkins did a few years ago, 2032, we're in 2026. You're telling me that I have to suffer with these mediocre teams who sort of look like they got something when they make us happy, and then all of a sudden it's at the end of the season. You're telling me I have to suffer that for 6 years because for sure 2032, man. By then, how many World Series have the Dodgers won? By that time, do the Dodgers even have a team anymore? I'm not saying that it would cease to exist. I mean, these guys are going to get older. Well, who's going to be there anymore? That's what I mean. These are the things that I want to like. I really really want this trade deadline to really speak volumes for both the teams in this on both sides of town, right? The Cubs last year made no moves. Don't tell me about Soroka. Don't tell me about Willie Castro. I don't want to hear about that. Those moves were just they were just for garbage. And he's going to tell you, well, there was nobody out there. Okay, sure. There probably was guys out there, but they weren't going to give them to you for a bag of baseballs. Of course, the Sox didn't make any moves last year, or really anything significant that we could talk about, because they were going to suffer another 100 loss season, so they weren't really going to invest in anything like that. But these next 3 weeks are going to be so pivotal. If anything really, really comes up and I want to do one, I kind of just want to hold off until after the trade deadline. But if something comes up that I really want to talk about, I'll probably record another one. But right now, that's my post All Star break episode, right? This is just, it's lot of bunched up in that wild card right now. So just like I did with the American League, let's talk about it. One, two, three, four, five. Five potential teams for three spots. Counting the three, that's eight. So we're talking about eight teams for three spots. So do they really want to be competing in that long term, or do the Cubs want to say, hey, we got 5 games that we're behind Milwaukee. If we just continue to win series and try to sweep the series that we should be sweeping, right? And when we face off with Milwaukee, those games are going to be super meaningful one way or the other for them to push us or for us to push them. The Cubs have a really, really big responsibility in my eyes to make a move to tell us how serious are you. Because if you're not serious, the moves are going to tell us how serious you are. Excuse me. Not telling you to mortgage the farm for a rental player, but if you got a guy that's controllable and you can make a move, that is a decision that you get paid to do, Jed. Those are the decisions that Carter gets paid to do. I hear that they think a lot alike. And that could be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on how you see it. But they have to get their stuff together to figure out what are they going to do. Same thing goes for Chris Getz on the south side of town. How serious are you about this young team and supplementing what they have? Because you never know what's going to happen in a short series. Even so, division series, if you guys were to get a buy and keep that division and you win the division, it's still a short series because it's a 5 game series. So understand that anything can happen because you never know. I've seen it before. I've seen teams, fortunately like the Cubs, who won 103 games, I believe. And what was it? Was it 103? I have to say it was 2008. I think they won 103 when they had Lou Piniella, when they won back to back divisions, '07 and '08. And they got bounced in the first round. I mean, because the bats just went cold, which is so typical of what our playoff runs look like, except for that World Series run, which somehow at bats did good cold, but somehow we somehow survived and were able to make it to the World Series and win it 10 years ago. But that was 10 years ago, and I'm loving all the celebrations and the lovable reunion podcast they've been doing. I love all that. That's great. That's fantastic nostalgia. But I want to concentrate on the team this year. That's great to look back at those memories, love them, live them. I love them too. This is great. These are good things. I love seeing my team have those reunions because remembering those guys and those moments are wonderful, beautiful moments. But just like I've talked about the Bears, 2016 is 10 years ago. Let's not be like the Bears when we're still talking about 2016, 40 years from that anniversary, and they haven't won anything 40 years post that anniversary. Let's let's really focus on that's great, but let's build on that future, right? Let's build on it. Let's build on hey, 2016 was the first time, and let's build, let's keep that sustained success that you've promised us, right? And the White Sox, right now, you guys finally have a team that looks respectable and looks like it's young, and you guys are gonna have them around for a long time, as long as they can stay healthy. Health is a big, issue. There is no regression because regression does happen with these young players. The league starts to figure them out, so they have to make adjustments to the adjustments to the adjustments, right? Again, these 3 weeks, I can't just stop reading it. So important. Hopefully, there'll be something post the trade deadline. If there's something that happens between now and then where it's like a phenomenal trade for either side of town, or even just a trade in general, I want to cover it. Hopefully, we should start seeing some big ones. We'll see. On the just on the just a maybe just a lighter side, which I'm laughing because it's truly a lighter side. I don't know if anybody's been paying attention to the decision, I guess that LeBron James wants to make and see where he wants to play, and it's just like I could care less. Just retire, man. Just retire. You think you could still compete, man? Fantastic, man. God bless you. I don't know too many people that at your age can still compete at your level. I know there's some people questioning your how physically fit you are, and if there is a how do I say this delicately? If you have something assisting you in keeping in that, that's not for me to say or to try to divulge. That's between you and the man upstairs, the Lord, to know if you really are doing this clean. If he is fantastic, man, he's in phenomenal shape. But the fact that every time you leave somewhere, that place just doesn't look the same. You leave it worse off than when you came. I don't care what anybody says. You have these little talking heads that are for you on ESPN, and they're gonna sing your praises. And then you got guys like Stephen A. Smith who could care less about you. Not to say that Stephen A. Smith is the ultimate authority, just to give somebody a name to throw out there. There are people that just cannot stand you because not you as a person. I don't know you as a person. I can't stand you because you think that you're the greatest thing walking ever in basketball. When you got to tell everybody you're the GOAT, maybe you're not the GOAT. Maybe the GOAT that we all see, initials MJJ, Michael Jeffrey Jordan, might be the GOAT because he didn't tell anybody he was so good. He just let everybody else tell him. In fact, there's a little story that I want to rattle off before I end the show. I don't know how many of you guys are fans of the Rocky franchise, the Sylvester Stallone Rocky franchise, boxing franchise. Um, I am. I mean, I've watched them all, some better than others, and of course, I have my favorites. Rocky 5 is okay. I mean, it's not bad, but this is such a good example of how I see LeBron James. For those of you who have ever watched Rocky 5, there is a character in there, the main character, who goes from being a sort of sympathetic character to then being the villain of the movie, which is Tommy Gunn, played by the late Tommy Morrison, the boxer who comes to ask Rocky for help. Rocky's just retiring after having that fight in the previous movie with Drago, even though in reality the years have passed since the last movie. They're sort of blending it together, saying it's around that same time that he fought Drago, comes back with the brain damage, got to retire from the sport. Like any athlete, misses the sport, decides to get back into training fighters because he loses everything. Okay, I mean, I'm not going to give you the whole plot of the movie, right? I just want to get to my point as he's in this boxing gym where he used to train with Mickey. Um, Mickey's since obviously passed away. In two previous movies, Rocky 3, he passed away. Actor was still alive at the time, but in the movie, his character was gone. He's training people in that gym. Tommy Gunn comes to ask him for an opportunity to train him. As he starts to train him, he starts to get that love and he starts to feel like he's winning, I'm winning. But as he's winning, the media and everyone else is looking at Rocky's boy. He's not Tommy, he's Rocky's boy. That's Rocky's robot. And I remember some of the headlines in the fake paper that as they're putting out as he's starting to win. And as he's starting to win, Rocky's confidence is going up and Tommy's confidence is just like, oh, it's going down because it's like I'm this guy's puppet. They're not seeing me. Look how good I'm doing. But he doesn't realize that it's going to be hard for you to step into the shoes of a legend, right? Because the character of him, right, not so much the rest of Stone, but the character of Rocky Balboa was such a great historic figure with all those fights that he had. That this guy was a hero. This guy's on a pedestal. This guy has his own statue at the top of the Philadelphia Museum. So he starts to get bitter. That's what LeBron James reminds me of. He reminds me of Tommy Gunn. That's the Tommy Gunn, and the Rocky Balboa character is Michael Jordan. Even though Rocky didn't want to steal any of his glory. He was stealing it from unintentionally. but didn't want any of the credit. He's like, I'm not doing the fighting. I'm just giving him the strategy. That's Michael Jordan. He's staying sort of back and saying, hey, I had all these years of being on top. I had no privacy. I just want to go back and be a husband. I want to be a father. I want to be away from the sport. I love the sport. Then all of a sudden, the minute that NBC says, hey, he's coming back as a correspondent, all of a sudden, everybody can't get enough of Michael Jordan. Here comes the green eyed monster for LeBron James, who's like, I'm jealous. This guy's going to come back. He's going to come scorch earth. He's going to say that I'm just a fraud, and everybody's going to buy what he says. Michael Jordan said nothing of the sort. They talked to him every couple of weeks, I believe, and he just would, they would ask him questions. He would answer questions. He never specifically said, hey, basketball's trash now. Said nothing of the sort, nothing of it. But then the story started to come out, and they started interviewing other guys on podcasts about Michael Jordan who had played Michael Jordan. And all of a sudden, everybody had the same story. We were scared of him. We were scared of him. His aura. Oh my goodness, he didn't even look like him. He looked like he walked on water. And I know that sounds sacrilegious. I apologize for anybody that gets offended by that. I don't believe that, but I get what they're trying to say. The metaphor that what they're trying to say, that this guy looked like he wasn't human. Anytime that you saw him out on a basketball court, even people just meeting him didn't feel like he was just. He's just like this great legend. He comes around the sport that you have been dominating for almost the last 20 years or so. Whether anybody wants to agree or not, LeBron James has been that face of the NBA, even though there's been other guys that have come in and have beaten him when he's supposed to be the face, right? This guy has choked in finals. We saw it before. Jordan never did that. Did he lose games? Of course he did. Did he win the championship right out the bat? No. But what people don't fail to understand is that this man was such a legend just because he never told anybody, I'm the greatest. I want to be the greatest. And he may have talked trash on the court, but he never told anybody, I'm the greatest. He said, you tell me, you grade me, you tell me what you think of me. Because I think there's people that are better than me, right? He kept Hall of Famers away from championships because they had to get through him. This man did not want to play with Larry Bird and Magic Johnson together. He wanted to beat them. He wanted to really know, if I'm that great, I can beat the Isaiahs. I can beat the Magics. I can beat the Birds, right? The Larry Birds. I'm better than these guys. I'm better than a Clyde Drexler. I'm better than a Charles Barkley. I'm better than a Patrick Ewing. And I'm going to prove it, not by tag teaming with them or teaming up with them, making a super team. I'm going to prove it by basically telling them, denied. You're not getting through here. You got to get through me to win this championship. Didn't the Rockets win 2 championships while he was away? There's debate still to this day, people still debating whether the Rockets could have won those 2 championships if Jordan wouldn't have been around. This man took an 18-month hiatus, came back, left on top, came back, got back on top. Yes, that first season, came back in March, they lost to the Magic. That man went back into the gym while still filming Space Jam to prove that he still had it. This man would film for 12 hours a day and play till the wee hours of the morning against the best of the best players. Had a gym built by him, built for him by Warner Brothers. That's the one thing that's missing, and I've said it and I will continue to say it. That is the one thing that LeBron James will always be. He's always going to be in the shadow of Jordan just because he does not have the character. He does not have the killer instinct of a Michael Jordan. So wherever he lands, all it's going to be is someplace else for him to build his stats and maybe bring his son with him. I don't know. This is just me. I've not heard anything of him saying he's going to bring his son with him wherever he goes. Whether it's Philadelphia, he's still going to be in the shadow of Julius Erving. There's not one team that he won't be in the shadow of somebody else. There might be some other teams that he may not. Memphis is definitely not going to be it because I know he don't like Memphis. He had some not very nice things to say about Memphis, saying it was boring. So it's not going to be Memphis. It's going to have to be a big team where he's going to have the spotlight. He's got to be the man because God forbid if Jordan's robot's not the man, he's going to throw a hissy fit and have Rich Paul go on ESPN and say, "Oh, he's being disrespected and blah blah blah. You're going to miss him when he leaves the league." No, we're not going to miss him. At least I'm not, because he changed the game that I love so much. So again, that's my time, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. God bless. See you guys.